and kept feeling around my back and other places. A lot of twitching. My body does a lot of twitching. My body gave me messages of cold in the back and ice in the back, and it's like, okay, man, well, that today's icy chill in the upper back, the mantle, I haven't really engaged that part of my body in a while. It's been like 4 days since I worked out. That is not typical for me these last couple of months. It was gotten yesterday. I was going to break my fast on it, and I didn't. Anyway, all that to say that we're just listening and feeling, you know, the first time I felt the icy chill, and then I was like, okay, just feel it. You know that one of the places that my mind went was, how can we fix this? Today's tension is tomorrow's problem, is the next day's disaster. And I've never had a back disaster before, so I don't want one right now. I really don't. I'll fight like hell not to have a back disaster. So I felt around and I just, instead of trying to resolve the issue right then and there, just relaxing peacefully into the moment, as stressful as that sounds, trying to relax. We made some progress. Little bit of headway. Able to let go a little bit, Take the victories that we can. This is the essence of Runcast. This isn't about getting there all at once. That's not what we're doing. If we wanted to do that, I don't know what the point of being a person is. It could be that I'm just living a human life, and a part of a human life is we accept the agreement that we're not already where we want to be all the time. People that are that content exist. I don't think they exist for long periods of time. Either they fall out of that state or they die, But, yeah, we're getting better. We're getting better at things. Again, we've put a bit of a staple in the podcast. We're not off the wall. We're not off the board. We're on the board. We're sticking to the board. But we're not climbing. Not right now. An hour to an hour and a half. That's the majority of our runs together. And I didn't podcast 2 days ago, but I did run. So I guess last episode was 3 days ago. Shit. If there was ever any episode that I felt while I was doing it that it was just a bunch of trash, and not bad stuff, but just no one's going to take any value from any of this, it's this episode. I wonder if I'll feel the same way on the playback. Hey, you'll know. You'll know if I put it up that I felt differently when I played it back. I talked a few episodes ago. Oh my God. Like 20 episodes ago. Holy shit. Yeah, like 19 or 20 episodes ago, I talked about curating my podcast because I don't want to do that. So if I do have to do it, I better, it better be done right so I don't have to do it again or too much. This is supposed to be as grassroots as possible. I want to put as little effort as possible into the tech, into the anything but the running and the talking. Okay, anything but the running and the recording. How about that? So that does imply minimal tech proficiency and things like that. But anyway, we talked about curating things. Now, the last time that I curated podcasts out of the podcast was around that time. I allowed myself to let go of 2 episodes. And there was too much content. I was just like, too much material, a little too volatile, a little too up high and down low on those podcasts for my own take, for my own liking. I think I was just getting back into coffee on one of those episodes, so I was like, the sky is up, the earth is down, let's talk really fast and do all the things. All right. well, looks like run spot or walk spot ends right about here. Ugh, let's hit it. Let's hit it. Yeah. Yeah. End of the summer. Oh, God. There we go. Yeah, ever since I learned and retained the knowledge that the mic jack is the place where the click happens, more than any other sound that the headset makes, it's there. I've then learned that I can just modulate a little bit and reduce it. Anyway, victories. We're talking about little victories. Right now, just doing this is a victory. Just having gotten up was a victory. I really wanted to get up earlier these last few days, and I finally did it. Kind of cool. Sort of riding the coattails of yesterday when I got up an hour earlier than usual. Now we're up significantly earlier than that. Don't worry. Before Endgame rolls around, we're not going to be able to help doing a Dawncast. The only thing about that is, once we're out on the old dusty trail, it's going to take us some awareness in the end game. We're going to need to be aware. That's kind of why I didn't stop. It's kind of why we're still running. I didn't want to fall out of practice. I'd like to get my whatever it is, 10,000 runs in 1,000, whatever, however many, before there's any real stakes. I'm in California, bro. Northern California. A black widow's probably not going to jump out from the grass and attack me. The odds are astronomical. Not impossible, but astronomical. Like 5 episodes ago, right after I set the phone down, after the podcast, the second that I did, I was bit 4 times by one spider. 3 in one spot, once in another. It's like he fell off my arm, bit my arm, fell onto my ankle, and bit my ankle 3 times. That motherfucker. So you know, unusual bitings occur, even here. But I recently heard a story of a gal at the beach in Australia. All she did was pick up a starfish. Then she died in like 10 minutes. She just picked up a fucking starfish. Probably got a microscopic cut that became microscopically envenomed. And either anaphylaxis or God knows what else just took her ass out. Picked up a fucking starfish. As I make my way, I'm considering running anywhere else and what that's going to be like. Talk about curation and overhead. Most of the resources I spend on this podcast are temporal resources. Just means I have to be out here for long periods of time. I don't do as much at home. Particularly not since I learned that I can upload things all at once. Not that they'll come out any faster. It's just I don't have to upload an episode, wait the 2 hours it takes for that half an hour to upload from my phone onto YouTube, hit upload again, because that asks way too much. Not into it. I can juggle tasks, but in my spare time I prefer to do 1 or 2 things at a time and keep them mellow. It's not my jam to be playing Bop It all the time. Anyway, yeah. We've covered some ground. Maybe I'll look back at this episode and think, yeah, this is definitely the most important episode to put up. It's the one that most best that encapsulates the spirit of the pod. Could be. We'll see. Yeah, this is a good way of doing this. it was going to be a short run. Now it's a middle short run. If I had gone back just the way I came, it would have been a very short endeavor. The first wave of hunger for the day. And it's early. Makes sense. When I'm up earlier, I eat earlier. Almost out of eggs. But not today. That's a good title as any for this episode. Maybe I'll name it that. Holy moly. Pick it up. Pick it up. Yesterday, instead of working out, which is the one thing I wanted to do, I wanted to lift weights and break my fast on weightlifting. Instead of doing that, I just kept working, and I extended my shift into the night a bit later than I usually would. And I ended up, well, my goal has been take home $100 a day. And it's been slow, because it's summer. It's early summer, so the kids just got out. The adults just got that first, oh, gotta have everybody over for the barbecue thing. So everybody's barbecuing and eating out since they can now where I live. So that's less for me, right? But even though it was a slow day yesterday, I got lucky a couple of times, and I continue to accentuate and take advantage of mileage being less a factor for me as it might be for other folks in different positions in life when it comes to this gig that I'm running. Not this run, but, the driving. Anyway, the point is that I took home a little bit more money than 100, and it was awesome. Probably 130 is what actually ended up happening for like an extra half an hour, 45 minutes. It felt really good because it was a long shift. When I say long, you know what the first thing that happened was? I thought of truckers who piss in bottles and drive the entire width of the country every time without stopping on their routes. They're just laughing at themselves. Or no, they're just laughing at me. Saying, oh, Biddy Justin. Oh, poor guy. My hypercritical side pointed inward and was like, fuck you, dude. And then I came to my assistance and said, no, these are different experiences. Human beings can adjust to anything. And my situation is my situation. It looks a lot different than theirs. I know truckers. I respect truckers. Some of the hardest working goddamn people I've ever met in my life. Doesn't mean I'm not working. So, back off. Hypercritical self. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. Not to appeal to my own sense of seeing things clearly, and not to appeal to an audience. That whole conversation took place because I said something and then immediately wanted to take it back. A long shift. What the hell is a long shift? For David Blaine, a long shift was 17 minutes of not breathing. For Wim Hof, it was days in the ice. A long shift is a long shift. You know what else? You know what I said even better? Yeah, here's what it was. All this that I just said didn't have to happen. I'm glad it did. I'm glad that I recorded it because I get to watch my process coming back to a place that I'm living more often, very happily so. And I'll give you a perfect example that I had in my brain just a moment ago. Everything that I just said took me back somewhere where I already was a few episodes ago and have been a few times when I've simply said the following words. This might become a new motto. Remember our mottos? Expectations low, morale is high. That's one of them. Here's another one. There is no short run. How about that? Every run is a good run. There are no pathetic runs. There are no sad runs. There are no weak runs. You know why? Not because it's not useful to somebody to view things that way. Just because we have different tools, and I prefer different tools. I don't prefer the tools of torture yourself on the road. It doesn't get me as far. It cautions me. It's certainly always there and ready. But before, many times, I've been aware of that. And I've brought it into the conversation happily by just reminding myself, oh yeah, there are no short runs. Because you know what happens when I get hypercritical with myself? Nothing gets done. Everything becomes completely self-defeating. I lose all inspiration. What's the point of anything is not far away from those conversations. And then we're back where we were years ago. I'm over it. Unless, until moments in the podcast when I'm under it again. But we've been here before, I'm telling you. This is not the first time. This is not Run Man's first rodeo. If I ever have a podcast where I talk about running as an early kid, or running in early childhood, get that clicking out of there. There we go. I might call it Run Man's first rodeo, or Run Boy, because believe it or not, though a man now, I was once a boy. Yeah. Once upon a time, we were all just tiny. Once upon a time, we were all just small. And then, like in the song, a caterpillar started talking backwards. And the queen is off with her head. I got those lyrics all fucked up. That's okay. That was Jefferson Starship? Jefferson Airplane? I love a few seconds of that song. And then it's like, all right, okay. I like the building tension of it. Doon, 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 doon. That's great. It's like where the guitar and the bass go in the Tool song Sober. It's just rising tension. There's a really good place to have tension. Music. Like Don Miguel Ruiz was saying, it's all a romantic dance. In music, in the tiny lifespan of a little bitty human being that talks on a microphone and runs like a goddamn fool in public for no reason. It's all just a dance. We get tense, and then we resolve the tension. And in that interplay, we have an experience. We shake hands and say, wasn't that a good show? Well done, old chap. Good old boy. Let's kick back with the old Hobie now. The day has ended. The time for wine and story and further song has come. Bring the dwarfs. Bilbo Baggins. Oh. Should we do a little hero segment for just one moment? Because, I think I've talked about this pedestrian viewpoint that I hold, but God damn. Some of those heroes that everybody knows about and loves and talks about, some of those heroes are also my heroes. I don't care that they're not perfect people. I don't even care that they're not real people. In fact, sometimes that makes it easier. No one's ever done me more damage than real people, after all. But while we're on the subject of heroes, we've all got a couple. Hey, puppies. Hi. Oh, hello. Oh my God, I can't breathe. That was too cute. God. So what are we up to? Like 20, 25, 25 now? That's a lot. And there's been a rumbling down in the pipeline. There's going to be activity soon. I am so glad that I timed the run exactly this long. What am I going to do later? You know, that's the thing. That's the one thing about, we will talk about heroes later, but the one thing, man, that I really don't want to do, that I'm going to sacrifice to the podcast, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to give it back, is that I currently enjoy hot peppers and hot pepper sauces. I learned at a local wing shop recently that I get hurt on Carolina Reapers as good as they are. I get hurt. By the way, I finished that hot sauce vial that I was telling you guys about a couple episodes back. Took me about 5 days. By the time I finished it, it had naturally evaporated into like this tar that I scraped. Oh God, that was last night. Yeah, I finished it last night on a surprise turkey sandwich that I bought. I never buy sandwiches anymore. I bought myself a turkey sandwich because people were moving out of the house and they were having their time. And it was good. I wanted to leave them to it. But they were in the kitchen. And I was like, well, you know, I can leave them in peace. And I can get myself a goddamn turkey sandwich. Remember, that was at the end of a long shift yesterday. Anyway, I finished off the hot sauce. And anyway, I'm going to give the hot sauce up. Up the fiber. And keep things slow moving in the guts. Slow moving and regular on the podcast when endgame comes. Because I will stop to shit if I need to. I don't care where I am. Shitting has to happen. I'm a person. That's not going to stop because I'm running. I have a decently robust, and it's growing, I have a decently robust threshold for suppressing the GI reactions that, I was going to say regurgitate. I guess just gurgitate. Expel waste from my body. I can do that for a while. I don't want to run in misery, though. I'll take the blandness of canned beans that are decently salted but have no hot sauce out on the trail when the time is right. I'll take that over hot sauce by night, shit by day, and every run is an uh-oh run for a series of runs, a series of marathons. It'd be nice to keep to the ideal as much as possible of those 5.5 hours on the road, just being running and not extending with breaks in the middle due to GI distress. The one public marathon I did was an uh-oh run. It was in a coastal college town nearby. And oh boy, did the hills surprise... God damn it. There we go. Boy, did the hills surprise me. And boy, did the concrete prevalence and pointiness of the concrete that I was running on for these 5 hours 540, if I remember correctly. Boy, did that surprise me too. And boy, was it weird having to poop the whole time and every other mile stopping in an outhouse only to find that I couldn't get it out. My body was trying to hold and to expel at the same time. It was hell on earth. I will not be having that on the end game. This will be resolved. I will practice. I will train. I'll get my reps in. But for now, oh my God, okay, never mind. I have not mastered the clicking. If it weren't pressed up against my eardrum, it would be different. But it's like somebody with a tiny hammer and chisel on my eardrum just going, only much higher pitch. Tink, tink, tink. Like a fucking tuning fork. Like a pin dropping. Anyway. Boy, we got into biology today, didn't we? Oh. Okay, I just flicked it. Hopefully that... Nope. Oh, boy. I don't know, like 15, 25 runs ago, I talked about how I was just going to let it go. Well, I'm not going to punish you by hitting the microphone again, trying to jostle it in some kind of a way where it just snugly fits into the port that it was designed for, mind you. I remember saying to myself back then, yep, I'm just going to choose to be cool with it. Maybe I'll just do that. See, there's all these practices. There's all these things that we're practicing in order to get this thing up and running and respectable. Oh, ooh, up the knoll, across the knoll. Whew. Oh, that shade was nice. It was so good. It's gone now. We're on the hill. We're on the hill. We're getting off the hill now. Hup, 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 hup. Hoo. I don't need traction. I've got proprioception. Fuck off with that. Slick hill. Oh yeah. It's getting real in here. Whew. But I did finish off that sauce. Anyway, we were going to talk about heroes for a second. Gandalf the Grey's cool. That's all I was going to say. I just had to take a moment. He's just a superhuman. I don't know the history. I read the Silmarillion. I ingested none of it. One time, this guy gave me a book called Tolkien's World, which was a very richly illustrated book with landscapes from those books that world is. Anyway, it was cool. And I had that resource. I still don't remember a goddamn thing about where Gandalf originates. Is he a dude, or is he a avatar of light, or some kind of an angel or something? I did take to the internet once or twice in the last couple of years about this. I believe the consensus is Gandalf is some kind of an angel or primordial being temporarily in human form. But the first time but coming up and just think as a kid, you know, I read those books as a kid. Oh shit, my shorts are falling out of my pants. Tuck them into the pocket. Tuck them in. Or just hold them in my arm, that's fine. Totally fine. Okay. There we go. Ha-ha! We've done it. Note to self. Tuck the shirt harder next time. Got a wing cam and a ring cam. because we are wringing out the sweat on this shirt onto my enclosed fist while we talk of Gandalf and coming up and reading Fellowship of the Rings and the other ones. Fellowship was always my favorite. Even when the movies hit. Between The Hobbit and all those. Oh my God, the clicking. Just leave me in peace. I just want peace. Do I? I can have it. You know, or I can't, and which story do I want to live by? Whew. Madness. Talking about madness. You can't see it, but the moon's up there by the tippy top of that light post to the left of it. Very dim. About half of it's showing. Anyway, Gandalf, reading those books at first, he was just kind of a Morpheus character to me. He was the guy who knew. He was the guy who knew and did. He was the guy who is playing on a whole different level than the main cast. But he assists the main cast. I always really. There might have been a couple of times when I flipped through the Fellowship of the Ring and the other books, Two Towers and Return of the King, to just the parts where Gandalf was doing his thing, where he was catching up with the characters after his long absences from the main party, which was always less interesting to me. So was Gandalf that was interesting, because he was just operating with different tools than everybody else was. But I thought at that point in time that he was just a person. Just a really old dude. Who'd been around a while. But was superhuman. And had just kind of learned it. That was the thing. He was always researching. And always figuring stuff out. It's like, this guy's just doing what everybody else is doing, only he's been doing it longer. And having way more success. You know, the language of those books reminds me of language in scripture as I have found it, which is that everything's got a mythical quality about it. No one's quite the same brand of human being as you find today, at least not the way they're spoken of in lore. It's part of the purpose of lore. It's art. Or at least it's part of the benefit, whether or not it was